Hello, friends. Welcome to what is episode one of what will be a five-part executive overview of our Unfair Advantage, Unleash the Power of Holy Spirit in Business. In this five-part executive overview, what I want to do is give you snippets of the revelations, the activation strategies, and more that's contained in this book. And why do we want to do that right now? Well, we're in the middle of season five of our Unfair Advantage podcast. And the Lord said, go back, remind those that are already part of our Unfair Advantage tribe of what they've already learned. Give them just a five-part short review, but also for the new friends coming on from all around the world, give them a taste of what's to come, not only in these episodes, but also in future episodes. So that's why we're doing this five-part executive overview. Also, I want to let you know at the very front, I want you to come to my website, drjimharris.com/translations, where you can download a free copy of the PDF version of this book in English and actually in many other languages. We're translating this in the top 20 languages spoken in the world. Many of those languages are already on the website, and we're just a few weeks from having all 20 languages uploaded to drjimharris.com/translations. Go and download your free PDF copy, even if you've already bought the book. And if you haven't, go get the PDF copy. Then you can have the book on your phone anytime, anywhere in the world when you need a reminder, like this executive overview series is going to do for you. So thank you for joining us on this particular episode one of our Unfair Advantage, the power of being led by Holy Spirit. I want to start off this episode to remind us of the problem that we've all faced. In fact, the problems that I faced before the Lord said, I want you to write this book. I said, yes, sir. Here's some of the problems that I faced. Most business leaders anywhere around the world, most business leaders are guided by worldly influences, things like being head-led, money-led, innovation-led, opportunity-led, price-led, expert-led, pressure-led, feelings-led, pride-led. Those 9 I put in chapter 1 in our Unfair Advantage, that all too often in my life, and in fact, in the lives of those that are not believers in business, their primary influence is being led by the world. And the world is led in business by being head-led, money-led, innovation-led, opportunity-led, price-led, expert-led, pressure-led, feelings-led, pride-led. And if I were to revise the book, I'd add one more. I'd add a 10th, being fear-led. You see, when we allow ourselves to be led by these same things that the world of business, your competitors for the most part, are being led by, then you have no unfair competitive advantage, because you're fighting in the same field, in the same ways, trying to do business in the same ways that your unsaved competitors are playing, and even some saved men and women in business that are simply carnal, that are not being led by Holy Spirit. That's not how the kingdom should work. That's not where we should be. We want more of Holy Spirit to lead us in our business so that we can advance the kingdom in ways that people have never seen before. We want, and it's time for you and me to continue reminding ourselves to be fully led by Holy Spirit so we can unleash His unlimited power through us into our marketplace to transform our businesses and transform not only that, but also our nations. So, though that's the problem, we allow ourselves to be brought back into being more worldly led than being more Holy Spirit led. Well, the Bible's very clear on the solution. The Bible's very clear. The solution to the problem is really encapsulated in the core verse for everything we do at Dr. Jim Harris Ministries. In fact, the book, Our Unfair Advantage, is based upon this one verse. This is our foundation verse for everything we do. Romans 8, verse 14. Romans 8, 14. The New King James Version of Romans 8:14 reads, "For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons, the daughters of God." And in verse 17, Paul talks about how that we are co-heirs of Christ, and other places in the Bible, how we're seated with Christ in heavenly places, that we have the same power, the keys to the kingdom that Jesus had when he walks on the earth. He's given that for us to use as well. But this verse is really the launch verse, "for as many as are led." The amplified version of Romans 8:14 gives us a critical insight to this solution of going from being worldly led to being spirit-led. And the amplified version of Romans 8:14 says it this way, "For as many as are allowing themselves to be led." Allowing themselves. It is submission. It is humility. I want to be led by Holy Spirit, and he will overcome all these other ways that I could be led, for he knows the truth, and the truth will set me free. The Passion Translation of Romans 8:14 is another way that I come back to, and sometimes I forget how powerful this translation is. But in this executive briefing, I want to share the Passion Translation, which may become your go-to version for Romans 8:14. Passion Translation reads, "The mature children of God," not the immature that are still following the world's way. You get that? "The mature children of God are those who are moved by the impulses of Holy Spirit." That's beautiful. Who are moved by the impulses, becoming sensitive to the promptings. The King James word would be the unctions. I grew up in many years ago, the unctions of Holy Spirit. The mature children of God, which I know you desire to be if you're not already, are wanting to be moved by the impulses of Holy Spirit. They truly want to be fully Spirit-led. So the solution to the problem of the world's way is obviously we want to be led by Holy Spirit. Just a couple follow-up verses just to remind us of how powerful this is, just to further state and restate the power of being led by Holy Spirit. In his final instructions to his disciples in the upper room, just before going to the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus said in John 16:7, "Nevertheless, I tell you the truth, it is to your advantage that I go away." It is to your advantage. That's the actual word, the New King James Version that's used. "For if I don't go away, I can't send the helper. He won't come to help you. But if I depart, I will send him to you." John 16:7. And then John 16:13, "However, when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will guide you into all truth, into all decisions, into all opportunities. He will not speak on his own authority. He will speak whatever he hears, and he will even tell you things to come." So Jesus himself in the upper room said it's to your advantage. It's going to be your unfair advantage. When people of the world see how you're doing business, they're going to say, "That's unfair." And we're going to say, well, actually, it's very fair in the kingdom. It's very fair. Let me introduce you to how to do business God's way. I was led, as I was preparing this first executive briefing, part one, to go outside the book and share with you just as an exhortation, as an edification, as an encouragement, to help continue to expand upon how critically important and what's available to us as believers in business, what's available to us through the power of Holy Spirit to transform our businesses, our communities, and even our nations. I want to share with you a list of 10 advantages of being Spirit-led in business that are not in the book, but just for this podcast. 10 advantages, no particular order. I could have made a list of 100, but here are 10 that popped out to me. Here are 10 advantages of being led by Holy Spirit in business. Number one, you receive divine guidance in decision making. Number two, very similar, you receive supernatural wisdom. Divine guidance in decision making and supernatural wisdom. I'm going to encourage you to go back to a previous podcast of our Unfair Advantage podcast, where I share with you the revelation room in heaven specifically for businesses. There's a revelation room in heaven. I saw it. I don't have these visions often, but when I do, I know that I know that I know that I was actually for this short period of time in heaven, and I saw a revelation room in heaven with your business having its own folder. I want you to go back and listen to that podcast, and I'll explain to you in more detail there that your divine guidance and decision-making and the supernatural wisdom you need has already been created in heaven. It's your job to go get it. So one of the advantages of being led by the Spirit in business are divine guidance, which we all need. I need it every day. Supernatural wisdom, I need it every day. A third advantage I wanted to share with you on this podcast is discernment in market trends. It's important to keep up with trends, but don't be led by market trends. On an earlier call this morning I had with many of my friends of the International Christian Chamber of Commerce, men and women from around the world, Africa and Europe and South America. On this particular call, I reminded my friends that it's not the trends that are so important, but the discernment behind the trends. What's happening behind, what's causing those market trends? That's what we need divine guidance and supernatural wisdom in. But that's another advantage of being led by Holy Spirit. He will tell you, this is what's behind the trends, and here's how you can get ahead of it, telling you how to position yourself for things to come. Number 4, supernatural favor with clients, investors, and authorities. I have a lot of testimonies on that. I can give you one very quick one on supernatural favor now that I'm out of private business and into business ministry, not-for-profit 501c3 here in Florida. Some of my partners, in fact, one in particular, has doubled and even almost tripled their giving to this ministry for what we need to keep doing what we're doing worldwide. I'm experiencing supernatural favor with those that I serve. Things that I would have never dreamed would have come back to me. You'll experience the same thing the more you are allowing Holy Spirit to lead you in business. Divine guidance and decision-making, supernatural wisdom, discernment and market trends, supernatural favor with clients, investors, and authorities. All are available to you when you're being led by Holy Spirit. Number 5, divine strategies in crisis. You may need that now with what the world is doing, how to better position yourself to get ahead of the market trends, the wisdom you need. You will receive divine strategies in crises you faced. Once again, I can give you testimonies of my own, and they will come one day. Number 7, peace amid the pressure. When you're led by Holy Spirit, you have a supernatural peace that others don't have, particularly the non-believers or the believers that are not being led by Holy Spirit. You can walk in supernatural peace under pressure. Let me give you a global example very quickly. Anyone around the world that looks at President Donald Trump, whether you favor him or not, whether you believe that he's the best or not, whether you see the supernatural anointment on him or not, it matters not. You see a leader of the world who walks in peace amid the pressure. He has the supernatural peace of the Spirit of God upon him right now. There's no doubt about it. No one, no human without the supernatural presence of Holy Spirit could walk in the peace he does amid the pressures he's under. That's number 7. Number 8 on my list of 10 advantages of being Spirit-led in business. Multiplication of supernatural provision. You will find and you will walk in and you will start experiencing supernatural multiplication of provision. Just a couple of podcasts ago, I discussed a 500% ROI I received where I sowed in one area and in less than 48 hours got a 500% return on investment. I just recently, just last month, lived this multiplication of supernatural provision. Go back a couple of podcasts, just 3 or 4 podcasts ago, and listen to my testimony on a 500% return on investment, a supernatural provision of multiplication. Number 9 in this list of 10 is an anointment in negotiations and deals. When you walk under the power of Holy Spirit, you walk into a negotiation or a deal, not only with peace, but also in His authority and His anointment when you walk in to those negotiation deals. I have some testimonies I can share with you later on that. And number 10 in this quick list of 10 advantages of being spirit-led in business: supernatural resilience and endurance. Some of you know my story. Just in the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone through ambulance rides from blackouts, from seizures, and then going through multiple heart caths. And now I have, finally, after going through all of that, now I have, on the verge of turning 72 years young, I have more energy, more resilience, more endurance than I had 5, 6, 7 years ago. And it's the favor of God, yes, with man's help, but it's the favor of God that I'm now living in supernatural resilience and endurance. You will experience these same 10 advantages of being led by Holy Spirit when you stay with us, follow us, keep moving along with us as we move forward, not only to unleash the power of Holy Spirit in business, but to teach you each of the gifts of Holy Spirit and what it means to business. So here's what I want to do. Here's your activation strategies for this quick overview. I want you to download the book. If you don't already have if you have the book, go to it, turn to page 25. Turn to page 25 in the book. I have in here an activity for you called the honesty check. And it goes back to those previous 9, how many of us are misled. And you just identify which of these you're still battling, and then go into prayer, create a journal if you don't have one already, of how you can overcome those, how you can diminish being misled by being too money-led, opportunity-led, innovation-led, pressure-led. Take the honesty check on page 25 and take a week to journal and pray, Lord, may I be more aware when these are popping up and they're leading me instead of you leading me. And what I encourage you in this honesty check is to also share with a friend of yours that you come together when 2 or more are gathered, or even a 3-cord strand. Come together with people that you can trust and say, I want you to pray with me and stand with me as I ensure I'm being more spirit-led than worldly led. If you haven't bought the book, I'm not asking you to. Go and download a free PDF in your own language at drjimharris.com/translations. Download the free PDF version and turn to page 25 and follow along with us in this executive briefing. So today I wanted to give you an encouragement, exhortation that there is power, as we know, in being led by Holy Spirit, with 10 advantages, not even in the book, that are just value add for joining me on this podcast today. And so here's a little tease for the next episode. Episode 2 of this executive briefing, we're going to explore how to make that big shift. I'm going to give you things that I've learned and things that I've experienced, as well as revelation from heaven on how to make that big shift to being a spirit-led leader, and why it's the greatest business decision you'll ever make. That's what's coming up in episode 2. So thank you for listening today. I ask you to share this with your friends. I ask you to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already on YouTube or even on LinkedIn, where we post these. Every social media channel imaginable, Rumble, X, at Dr. Jim Harris, at Dr. Jim Harris. Come join me. Join the dialogue. Get integrated into what we're doing. Let us have a dialogue along those. Come to the website at drjimharris.com and sign up for the newsletters. That will remind you of podcasts, remind you of special events, remind you of new versions, translations of the book that you can share with your international friends. And so I thank you for being with us today. I'm excited about seeing you next time on episode 2 of this 5-part executive briefing on our unfair advantage, unleash the power of Holy Spirit in business. Thanks for being with me today. We'll see you in episode 2.